tonight we're going to be talking about a novel that I'm planning in writing. Actually, I started writing it, but I'm not quite sure if I will launch it. Although it's basically inspired by personal experiences suffered to me, and so I decided also to write it down as a guidance for other women, younger women, or older women as well, who are stuck in a situation like I am, and it will inspire them what to do and what not to do. And in regards what to do is actually that this recording is actually also hooked onto the previous audio that was about what I have, what would I advise my younger self. So basically, this is what it's like a chain. And though there's also another novel that is entitled A Pretty Nun Named Marisa, meaning the second name that I have. And that is basically what I would have done. So I write about, it's a narrative about myself, basically, but what would I have done to change everything in regards a person who has forceful and voiceable power over my shoulders. That sadly is someone who gave birth to me. And so I don't see her as a parent, I just see her like an enemy, bottom line. And in this particular two books, such The Nun, The Pretty Nun Named Marisa, and also Mrs. Greedy, what is it? Greedy Mrs. Margaret, because that is my mother's second name. Then it's about her influencing over me, and she's basically a complete narcissist. She's one of the people, the type of person that can destroy you mentally, jeopardize you, make her, and since she's senior, then of course she has all the trust and all the belief, and whatever people will always listen and believe her, not us or not me in that regard. So what I do to get back at that situation, to revenge myself, basically, is that I will pour everything as me acting as an actress inside my novels, and those particular two novels, and she being the devil, basically. And also in this book or novel, I will throw her personality 100% as how she is, because probably she is. I'm not the only one who has suffered this and who's stuck with this situation at the main moment. And there will also be subjects and examples from other women who are suffering the same thing. We have to put it with a woman like that, that just because she is a senior, they have to get away with everything or anything, and then people have to lavish them. And I understand that instead of correcting them, they let them be, and that's completely messed up, because then they end up being not a person that you will pity. It's a person that you will dislike and not even think about or have some anything to do with her on me. Touch no jewels. I don't want any jewels from. I don't want no photograph from. I don't want to see her face in anywhere. Not even in my books, not even in my frames for me to remember. I don't want anything to do with it. Because she has done many things to me, said to me, lots of things that it hurts out of the blue. Like one time I was having a skirt from her, and out of the blue, she just, in her head, she was machiavellically thinking, I don't know what, and she had angered. So she was building up anger while she was looking calmly, and I was just minding my business. She just asked me to hem her a skirt, and I did. And then out of the blue, she started telling me that it was my fault. That when I was born, she was forced to be in the hospital, and she didn't want to be there, and I should have died, so she would not be forced to be in the hospital because I was born with a silver spoon in Italy, and the nurses ripped off the skin, the layer in white skin that my body had, and because according to the stupid head, from the south, central south of Italy and the south of Italy, it is to believe that when the baby is born involved in that white skin, what is, I don't know how you guys call it. They come with luck and with money. So if nurses eat it or they freeze it so they can continually eat it, it's so stupid. Um, then whatever money or luck the baby was born with, it will be shared to them, and then money will come, you know, rushing onto them, to their doorsteps, or to their wallets, or bags, or purses, or whatever. And so, because of that, then the nurses ripped off my umbilicus, the umbilicus thing. I call it the brown button. So they rip it off, and then they caused me an infection that which it sort of spread to my intestines and to my guts, actually the organs inside. And the doctors told my father that I will have about a week or a few days of life to live. And so she was forced to breastfeed me and to stay into the hospital. And that was the first thing that she ever told me, that it triggered me as a daughter, and it marked me, because then I knew what kind of type of a monster I was actually facing, and so selfish. And so I thought about writing a story, but I didn't know what would be the title. And until I have like matured enough, is that I decided to come with the particular title that is Greeting Mrs. Margaret. And although at first the cover itself had to do with something with fall autumn leaves, it had to be like orange basically, the autumn colors of the fall. And so, but then I was then hospitalized again in 2021, the 4th of April 2021, because of appendicitis and gallbladder and all the crap. And so the thing is that when I entered the house after I was given the medical leave, because I was okay, um, when I entered the house, I saw her that her head was bowed down. She was standing in the entrance of the house, but her head was looking down. As my instinct told me, is that she looked guilty. Few years passed. Actually, it wasn't even a year. It was 4 months later, something of that sort. She told me that she asked God to take my life away because she didn't want me in the house. She just continually blamed me as a baby, and then she retold me again the same story, that because of me, I was, she was forced to stay in the hospital, take care of the infant, which is me. She did not want to stay in the hospital, and so forth. And then she suddenly realized that God was listening to her, pleads to please take my life away. In small words, kill me. And so I came back, and I did not die, because each time that I called just to listen to their voices, because I missed them and so forth back then. And then supposedly she missed me, but I'm like, that's not possible that she misses me, because she does not want me around. Because I know her cuckoo face, her cuckoo. She's not a woman. She's not a stable woman. She was not. She has not, and now she's gotten worse and worse. And so I'm not patient with her, but I also ignore her. I Most of the time I don't even pay attention. When people are delicate mentally, like she is, you don't want to confront them, because they always seek attention, like the zodiac sign Leos, like Meghan Markle, for example. She's a woman. She wants to be the center of the cameras. If she gets ill, she's not just for a stupid cut. If she gets like cut and or cut meaning like she cut her skin. That's what I mean. Then for a silly little tiny thing, she will make a huge drama. That will be Meghan Markle. But this one, if she cuts herself or she just bruises or something out of the blue, she's not getting the attention from me. But when I tell her son, oh, she's doing that, oh, she's feeling this, watch her, she's feeling this, she's saying this and this, and then he goes, like for instance, she was for one time whining that that certain night was the worst night of her life. She thought that she wasn't gonna make it the next day, and I don't know. Maybe she was telling me that because she didn't want to cook, but then at the same time she wanted to cook, or she wanted to boss me around. Like I don't want to be. I'm not a presser that people can press me down. I do not authorize anyone to press me down in any way. So I ignore her. But when she started complaining, I told her, "Have you told then her son, right, my brother?" And then she goes, "No, because he will get worried." Okay, if you're making these things up, be careful because whatever you do, whatever you wish, is gonna come really climbing onto you, and we're all gonna be succumbed into deep sleep. You won't be even if you scream. We're not gonna listen to it because my mind and his mind is gonna be succumbed in another world. So if you feeling this bad, you have to tell him. So she was telling me not to tell him, but then he came around and told him, she's feeling this and this and this, and I told him that in English, so she would not, interfere. And so he asked her, so you were not feeling well? And he goes, well, she didn't even know how to explain that she was lying. So um, I tried to hint him down, like hinting him bigly and widely how it that this person is, and that he has to keep his eyes open because it's a tricky person. And the arguments that we come across constantly is that she lies so much that I am tired of being thrown the entire, I don't know, luggage on the head or on the slamming on my face, and so to speak, not physically, but so to speak. And then I'm getting all the blame, and she's a nice person, but it's not. So it's something that he has to be warned about and be careful with. If you have to put on camera in the house, put it, then you will know who's starting what, who's saying what, who has not said what, because this is getting out of hand. And so, Greedy Mrs. Margaret, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be from 1945 because of, I'm imagining the movie scenes, and so it has to be from that sort of time period. It all depends also because since I'm playing my part, but then there's the other co-star, which is her, and with her own plots. This is the easy part of this writing this novel. Excuse me, is her own plot, the entire script, from based on what all she has told me. Her actions, they speak louder than her prayers. One thing is to be religious. The other one is, are your prayers louder than your actions, or is the other way around? If your actions are louder than your prayers, you're simply fooling yourself and you're just manipulating religion to get whatever you want from others. So that's what she does. That is something that she has done since I was 12 years old, like a tantrum. She used to throw lots of tantrums. She doesn't do that anymore because the more she did that, it actually screwed up her eyesight. And so it actually she ended up damaging her own health, her own eyesight by manipulating people and screaming like that. And also someone in the family has acquired the same method that she does in screaming until she can get away with it, but she looks like a mad woman and unstable, and that's but she uses it in the office in the states, and that's it makes her look like a really unstable mad woman. And then, well, it was it was bad back then for that person, but to do it indoors and then suddenly if it pops out publicly, then eventually she's still too gonna be look like a mad woman, very unstable. And right now, as for what I'm doing is that I'm uploading a book that it has been published in 2022 if I'm not mistaken, and it's called oh, allow me a moment, is entitled Princess by the Name of Monique. But this particular book is about a young lady girl, actually from 1646. And the back of the book, or the blurb that I've been working on, because I'm not good in writing blurbs, honestly, I have a hard time giving it away but then holding it back. So on this particular one, on the back of the book is like a sort of a statue sitting down, and I don't want to let it go because there's the instruction inside of the book. And also when you look it up on Amazon, perhaps on Barnes and Nobles, you're gonna still read the external blurb, not the one on the back of the book, because the other one is the one that basically tells almost a story. The other one on the blurb or the back of the book will actually capture like the doubt or the question mark, like what is the book about, because it says, or outside of showing the paperback and the ebook, or this particular one is a second edition also. The first one is a black cover, and it has a statue with a bleeding womb, and then it shows the other person, the other character dressed in black, in like in morning clothes, from I don't know 1800 900. And so for this particular one, on the black back of the blurb of the book, it says, I was brutally murdered in Puritan century 1646 to be precise. When I died, I suffered of spiritual torment, did not know if I had died or if I was left living ignored. And so she thought that she knew that she died, but then she still had the same feeling as she was alive. And so she didn't know if she was alive, then she was ignored. If she was dead, why couldn't you see her? Why was she not visible? So she felt ignored all through the entire centuries. And so therefore I felt invisible. So a piece of rock, and I stood there, lived there with the stone's walls for centuries, till one day someone carved me exactly as I looked. It seems that this other person was able to see her standing there, and so he decided to carve her, um, like if she were a pattern or a guidance for him. He depicted, worked on the marble stone. And so let me see. Carved me exactly as I looked. People spoke a foreign language, and I learned to grasp it. Then I spoke French fluently. I was sold as a statue named as a princess by the name of Monique. And thus is basically the lady that is sitting on the back of the book is the Princess of Monique of the area of 1646. And so she lived in the Puritan times. The front of the cover is basically my face, just with red jackets and tons of pearls. Pearls are struggles in pain. That's why I use those pearls. So each beam or pearl is a suffering layer, or the more layers I have, is the more suffering I have lived. There's also a flame that is covering the name of a person, and so is within a frame, a round frame with tassels on each side. I like tassels basically. I wanted to look for red tassels, but I didn't find any, so I left them like that. And I also included black, like a morning selling a ship as a boat, and then it says Brick and Bois Publisher House. So I changed the name, and instead of being um, Brick and Bois Publishing Editorial, it's common sense that it's a publishing house. So there's no need to say that it's an editorial, because within it, it is, it just says a house, because it's like random house basically. So it's a house. But further on, and also it will have included after the house the dot, I'm sorry, the comma, LLC, for limited liability company, because I am due to be part of the corporations or branding editorials, American editorials. So this is basically an American one, and I'm very proud of it. Now, going back onto this particular book that I'm trying to pull up, is taking some time. It has been up for, I'm trying, okay, as for the cover, it worked. It fit in perfectly. I've been having a hard time doing this. The cover was not actually sitting well. I always struggle with that. So it's in white, but the back of the book and the spine is in red. Not deep. It's a like a almost like a blood, but not the red deep blood, but it's almost like burgundy, but it's not. Okay, it's not pulling it in. I'm not sure if it's the internet or something, or maybe it's corrupted the file. Where is it? This is not it. Goes out, and this one is to stay. Maybe it's not here. Let me see. But I'm not quite sure. Okay, what I'm gonna do. Okay, so it's in, and I'm just gonna check if everything is written properly. Bear with me, because yeah, let me see. Now it's up. It's 287 pages. Sadly, I wanted it to be 300, but it didn't. I couldn't stretch it more than I just wanted, the font itself is 14 instead of being 12, because it would have been 12, it would have even been lesser than 200. So it's a little bit more than the edition number 1, basically. And I'm just gonna pull it down, because I want to see if everything is formatted perfectly, because one thing is to see it in the actual word, and then the other one is to see it how it is, because how you're going to read it as a reader. As for my limited liability company editorial, it will be just me as an employee. Then further on, I will be hiring people, but not right now, because first I have to build the revenue, and then if I can't handle anymore the translations, if I can't handle the formatting of a book, if I can't handle anymore um, because I have to do like the binding of the books, since it's gonna be my printing house as well. The binding of the books, the hardcovers, the paperbacks. I'm not gonna be doing electronic books, but on the particular one, on this one, just to see if people will like the book, then I'm just throwing the ebook. If I don't see no movement, then I will withdraw it and just gonna remain with the paperbacks and hardcovers. In my editorial, it will only be paperbacks and hardcovers, no electronic books. Is banned. Is not acceptable. So from what I see, everything so far so good. And this particular book, what I did is that I have included an experience that I had with a call center before. I changed the name more or so, including the software in which they use it as to scam people and hack, because I could get sued. But to evade that suing or the lawsuit and so forth, I just changed everything around, but not the actual facts. And so I included it because it's like an there's Amalia, the general attorney. So she has a law office, a law firm. She has tons of paralegals and also attorneys that they work for her, and she's also on top of the cases. And so that's why I included that one in there, because I would have wanted it to be of a major ordeal, but that was not possible. So I will be including it into the novel, and it will be in the novel or in a movie further on. If God wants to and not forbid it, then it will be part of it, and people will be able to see it. Let me see. There is one thing. I'm not. It's just gonna. It's a minor thing, so you're not probably gonna see it. But I do. So what I'm gonna do is that I will approve it. Everything is within it, including the spine, which is important because if the spine is touching the trimming part for at least when you bend the paper, the hardcover, no, the paperback, when you bend the cover itself to align to the spine, everything has to be in between and within, not go beyond. So as for the price, let me see, 444 for printing costs because it's 287 pages. So for Amazon, they will be charging me $4.44. So the price I can push it for $10 if I go for, because according to them it could be for 741. If I go with their price, I'm not gonna go anywhere, honestly. So I will put it, say, $10, because for Black Friday it might sell. Um, if it's for, well, $10, it will be $1.56. But if I go for 17, the lucky 17, it will be $5.76. If I go for expanded distribution headed to Kobo, Whitewaters, and Barnes and Nobles, it will be $2.36 for me. It will be 40%. And it's also going to be for Amazon. It will be my earnings will be $5.76 for distribution, expanded distribution, meaning Barnes and Nobles. My earning will be 2.36. So I'm gonna leave it for $17. And in Europe, say Denmark, United Kingdom will be £3.72 for distribution. $1.75. I don't know where distributing where. Which store. For the other ones, there's no such thing as a expanded distribution because they don't have Barnes and Nobles in Europe. So 60% of the earnings will be on what is it? Denmark, France, Spain, Italy. Don't know what the other ones are, but for the other normal ones, is €5.39 my earning, and their printing cost is 4.19. Less. It's lesser than the other ones than in the USA. Whoa, wow. Okay, so this one is up, and I'm just going to pull up. Yeah, well, fair enough. And where is it? The Kindle Create. And that's about it for first edition on, okay, editor. I don't have to write anything here because only for the choose the categories. It's a classic basically. that's about it. I'm not gonna say much about it. Actually, it's a power novel, but I'm not sure if they have it. So it's just classics. Okay. And keywords paranormal basically. And where? Oh, how crazy. They don't accept the and icon for ebooks, but they do accept that and the other ones. So because for this one's on India, they hold the permission for electronic books. That's what they don't want anyone to have ISBN included in it because they can have easily get away with stealing your works basically. So on this one, you always have to add digital rights management DRM to inhibit unauthorized access to or copying or digital content files. No, this cannot be changed after publication, of course. And this is something that I also will have included in my nope in my in the copyright. Even though they don't want the ISBN, I always let them know what is the ISBN that is protected or that the paperback has. Although this one doesn't have it, but it it doesn't make sense now. I understand why they don't want it to have for us to include it. So let me see. Publisher. I always write what is my publisher basically. So is let me see. So you know what? We're gonna leave it like that because as for Greedy Mrs. Margaret, I don't suppose I have it written. Let me check on my documents, my the manuscript itself. Let me just write it over here. Because it also will show on which year I was set to publish it. But like for instance, when I was hospitalized, I saw like a fan of book covers, and then I saw this one in between, and I'm like, what? Then I asked myself, then nothing has changed in the household. Everything will remain the same, meaning that if that book is still persistent that I will be publishing it, it means that it will get worse in the house. And then eventually it kept repeating itself, like in small words, yes. So that's when I got home, is when I found out that yes, it got even worse. Because this problem here is her. She is the issue now. Okay, Pretty Mrs. Margaret. So it was due to be released on 2020, actually, yes, last year. But I have started writing it in 2021. So I have the cover also fixed. Underneath it has the autumn leaves, and not sure if it's gonna be from 1940 something, because I'm seeing now that the profile itself of the lady, or actually being depicted me, or probably yeah, I'm not quite sure. It's from the Victorian times. So I will have to like move everything around as for those times. Yeah, copyright was for 2023. I have the ISBN included. And the epilogue, all right, I had to fix something here. Let me see. Okay, this book wasn't supposed to be published at all, but for the epilogue, but I am being pushed and forced to publish it because of personal circumstances. Although I love how the book cover came out, it didn't take an entire hour to create it. It was halfway done in 2020. So the book was to be released in 2020, but then I ended up at the hospital in 2021. So I always procrastinated about whether I should publish it or wait till I move out of this house, but it has not come around, and probably it will never come around either. The opportunity to leave. My God, I have applied to Italian hotels and banks, even relying on my hometown, but nothing has shaken up, and I don't know what to do. And so, chapter one is this is the tale of a selfish woman whose ambition was so greater than a simple prayer. It was easier for her to have all that money could buy. She wanted money above all, far less wished to become a mother. It was her husband who wanted children. He loved them. He was here to have at least 12 to 17 children, but men never think, they just want and wish. They are not the ones to push in labor. They don't breastfeed the babies. They work to sustain the family, wife and children. Chapter 2. Along came the birth of the eldest. The eldest was the right hand and confidant of the woman, or that woman. Let me just fix this. Of that woman. The mother used the elder daughter as her ear spy. Also, she did something unfast. She turned her own daughter into the arms of a monster when she was a little girl. The elder daughter begged her not to leave her alone with him, but it seemed she either enjoyed making of her little daughter, enjoyed the pleasure of the flesh at a younger age, or she was a natural psychopath herself, or she was hiding a huge secret. And so this is how the story is. And after this novel, this book that I have already published, I believe I'm going to be pushing for this one to continue on and just get over with it basically. As for the Kindle, I'm not sure if I'm gonna push for the Kindle. It depends what Amazon says. Amazon India basically. It depends on what they say. If they get hectic with the other one from Monique, then eventually I'm not doing no Kindles, and just because of that employer, then he could be fired for that matter, because it's basically um, telling the customer not to do any Kindles, basically, and they want us to do that, but he does not want to. So if that's the power of the employee itself, then he is so messed up. So on this one, I like also the header of the book. And so I'm just gonna leave it open because I'm through with the other one. So please don't forget to subscribe, follow, share, and thank you for following, listening to my podcast. I highly appreciate it, as this is my form of income, and also I'm all building my publishing house as well. So it helps a small business. Thank you. Have a nice evening.